Hey everyone, welcome back. This channel is all about long-term wealth creation, real strategies, real mindset shifts, and real growth. And since we believe health is the first wealth, you will also find plenty of conversations here about living a healthy, balanced lifestyle alongside all the money talk. Quick, honest note before we dive in. You do not need to hit that subscribe button unless you genuinely feel like this content is bringing value to your life. We are not chasing numbers. We are here to help you grow. So if today's topic is useful to you, stick around, and if you like it, well, you know what to do. So here's a wild stat to kick things off. Roughly 1,700 new millionaires are created every single day. That adds up to over 620,000 new millionaires every year. So why do so many people manage to pull it off? And why does it feel so out of reach for everyone else? Honestly, it usually comes down to positioning and how valuable you make yourself in the marketplace. If the market decides you are worth $1 million or more, it tends to hand that value right back to you. Today, we are walking through 15 real, proven paths that people have actually used to hit that 7-figure mark. Let's get into it, chapter by chapter. Chapter 1, be in the top 1% of a lucrative profession. This one sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but it works. Be really, really good at a job that pays well. It's a lot easier to become a millionaire once you are specialized and genuinely excellent at what you do. Doctors, lawyers, and upper management roles across the country regularly pull in well over $150,000 a year. And if you are truly elite in your field, that number can double or even triple. Here's an interesting twist though. One of the highest paying career paths with the lowest barrier to entry is sales. You do not need a medical degree or a law license to sell. You just need to be good at it. The top 1% of salespeople in this country regularly clear $250,000 a year, which would put them past the $1 million mark in about 4 years. And beyond the paycheck, learning how to sell is one of those transferable skills that helps with almost every other path on this list too. Chapter 2. Write several books that sell. A lot of people assume you need to write the next massive bestseller, something on the level of a huge fantasy series, in order to make real money from books. The truth is, the odds of any single book becoming a cultural phenomenon are incredibly low. But here's the more realistic path. Becoming a New York Times best-selling author only actually requires selling somewhere around 10,000 copies, sometimes even fewer if you have made the list before. The real strategy here is volume and persistence. Keep writing, keep publishing, until one of your books catches on. A great real-world example is the self-published author Amanda Hocking, who was rejected by nearly every major publisher, and ended up self-publishing her novels because she needed a little bit of gas money for a road trip. 1 month later, she had made over $20,000, and within 20 months, her self-published books had earned her more than $2.5 million, all from novels no traditional publisher wanted to touch. If you already have an audience, a podcast, a blog, a YouTube channel, that built-in audience makes it even easier for a book to take off, because people who already trust you are often happy to support your next project. Chapter 3. License a patent or trademark to a big company. Another creative path to real wealth is inventing or designing something that solves a problem better than anything currently on the market. A great example here is Lonnie Johnson, the engineer behind the Super Soaker water gun. He came up with the idea almost by accident while working on unrelated engineering projects. But he did not have the resources to manufacture, market, and distribute the toy himself. So instead, he licensed the technology to Hasbro and negotiated a royalty of 3% on every unit sold. That single deal ended up earning him more than $100 million, and today he holds over 250 patents, with a net worth north of $350 million. If a full, expensive patent feels out of reach right now, there are still simple ways to protect an idea. Documenting exactly how your invention works in detail and mailing that documentation to yourself in a sealed, postmarked envelope creates a dated record that can help establish you were the first to develop it, in case you ever need to prove that later. Chapter 4. Start a dropshipping company under your own label. For anyone unfamiliar, dropshipping is a business model where you find a supplier who manufactures, packages, and ships a product directly to your customer, while you focus purely on marketing and sales. Say you find a supplier who can produce and ship a product for $5. You set up your own online store, sell that same product for $20, and once an order comes in, You forward the details to the supplier and keep the $15 difference as profit. A well-known example in this space is Gymshark founder-level entrepreneurs who built massive followings around fitness-related products, using this exact playbook, sourcing product cheaply, marketing it heavily through social media, and scaling quickly. Within months, that kind of business can realistically bring in 6 figures a month if the marketing lands. It is worth noting, dropshipping is an extremely competitive space with thin margins, but it remains one of the most well-documented, accessible business models out there for anyone willing to learn the ropes. Chapter 5. Start a small business and keep growing it. Most of the paths on this list are pretty specific, but the honest truth is, the majority of everyday millionaires got there simply by starting a small business and consistently growing it year after year. That might sound less exciting than some of the flashier options, but it reflects a hustler's mindset focused on steady, compounding growth. Starting any business is difficult, but the underlying path tends to look similar no matter the industry. Solve a real problem, figure out how to get paid for solving it, and then bring in the right people so you can focus on the parts of the business that actually move the needle. Think about the local landscaping company that started with one guy and a truck, and 20 years later runs a fleet of crews across 3 states. That kind of slow, steady growth adds up to real wealth over time. Chapter 6. Aggressively save money and invest in index funds. Understanding compound interest and actually using it might be the single most powerful wealth-building tool available to the average person. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world, saying that whoever understands it, earns it, and whoever does not, ends up paying it instead. A steady 7% annual return is realistic and achievable through broad market investing. Using traditional numbers, if you save just 10% of a $50,000 salary every year, it would take around 40 years to hit $1 million, which is not exactly an exciting timeline. But if you can improve any of the 3 key levers, how much you earn, how much you are able to save, and the rate of return on your investments, that timeline shrinks dramatically. On the investment side specifically, moving money out of a lower yield mutual fund and into a broad index fund like the S&P 500 makes a real difference, since that index has historically returned close to 10% annually over the past 90 years, tracking the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the country. Chapter 7. Become an influencer. People often lump content creators and influencers together, but they are actually 2 different lanes. Content creators focus primarily on the craft of the content itself, while influencers focus more on personal brand and visibility, and it turns out it is often easier to monetize the influencer path. Major celebrities can charge upwards of $2 million for a single sponsored Instagram post, according to marketing industry estimates, but you do not need to be a household name to make solid money here. An account with somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million engaged followers, a healthy engagement rate in the 3 to 5% range, and a track record of working with brands can realistically charge around $1,000 per sponsored post. And if you are in a lucrative niche like beauty, fitness, luxury, or tech, those rates climb even higher. Chapter 8. Purchase a franchise and make it really successful. If building something entirely from scratch is not your strength, buying into a franchise offers a shortcut, since someone else has already built and optimized the entire business model for you. Franchises typically involve 2 kinds of costs: an upfront franchise fee and an ongoing percentage of revenue paid back to the parent company. In exchange, you get an established brand and a proven operating system. Think of household names like McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts. Some franchises can be entered for as little as $10,000, while others, like a Dunkin' Donuts location, might run anywhere from $40,000 to $90,000 in franchise fees alone, on top of a requirement to have a couple $100,000 in liquid assets, just to prove you can keep the operation running smoothly. The key is finding the right franchise for your specific market and budget. Chapter 9. Build a subscription service. This is where what you might call millionaire math comes into play, figuring out the different combinations of customers and price points that get you to that 7-figure mark within a year. For example, 5,000 people paying $17 a month for 12 months gets you there. So does 2,000 people paying $42 a month, or 500 people paying $167 a month. All of these paths land you in the same place. It is easy to see why subscription businesses have exploded in popularity. Think about how normal it has become to pay monthly for streaming services, meal kits, or software tools. It all comes down to building something people are willing to pay for consistently, month after month. Chapter 10. Work for someone who is already extremely wealthy. One of the fastest and most overlooked ways to reach your first million is working directly for someone who has already built massive wealth themselves. Wealthy people tend to value time above almost everything else, and they generously reward the people who can help them save time or make more money. Roughly 1 in 5 millionaires actually built their wealth this way, working for someone else rather than starting their own company. If this path appeals to you, finding a strong mentor inside that kind of environment can open doors and provide guidance you simply would not get anywhere else. That said, this only really works if you build a genuine, trust-based relationship first, showing up with real value to offer, rather than a cold pitch out of nowhere. Chapter 11. Go viral on YouTube. It might sound unlikely, but going properly viral on YouTube has become a legitimate path to 7 figures over the last several years. The exact payout depends heavily on the type of content, how advertiser-friendly it is, and who exactly is watching. But generally speaking, somewhere between 500 million and 1 billion total views can translate into serious money. The music video for Gangnam Style, for example, reportedly earned its creator over $8 million, and that is not even counting the massive wave of additional opportunities that came from that level of exposure. YouTube has genuinely become the new television for a huge chunk of the population, which is exactly why so many creators are building entire careers here. Chapter 12. Build a blog with massive monthly traffic. A high-traffic blog can still absolutely make someone a multi-millionaire, primarily through advertising and affiliate revenue. It is admittedly one of the harder paths on this list to pull off today, especially with so much online content now being mass-produced, which tends to dilute overall quality and make it harder to stand out. It remains a completely viable option for anyone willing to consistently produce content that people actually want to read, and building an audience that keeps coming back. Chapter 13. Build an app that 1 million people use. There is still real money to be made in the app space if you understand the game and can genuinely offer something valuable. The tricky part with apps is that unless people feel a real reason to keep coming back regularly, you lose them fast in an incredibly crowded marketplace. The apps that succeed today tend to find smart ways to generate ongoing revenue from within the app itself, rather than relying on a single upfront purchase. If you can crack that formula, and customers genuinely find value in what you are offering, the road to your first million can be surprisingly short. Chapter 14. Build a massive following on live streaming platforms. Live streaming has moved well past being a niche hobby, and platforms built around it have become genuinely massive, especially internationally. The core idea still holds though. Live streamers have become a legitimate new category of celebrity in our culture. To make a full-time living from it, you generally need to be in the top 1% of streamers, and to get seriously wealthy from it, the top 1% of that already elite group. What makes this path interesting though, is that the barrier to entry is almost non-existent. Nobody needs to know your background, your credentials, or even what you look like. You simply need to be entertaining enough that people want to keep watching. Chapter 15. Buy, flip, and repeat. This last one is about as fundamental to commerce as it gets. Find something you can purchase at a lower price and resell it to someone willing to pay a premium for it. This simple formula has taken countless forms over the years and continues to evolve as culture and markets shift. People apply it to cars, real estate, antiques, sneakers, literally anything with a resale market. At its core, it is all about understanding exactly how much someone is willing to pay for something and figuring out how to acquire that same thing for less. So here's a question for you. Out of everything we just covered, which path feels the most realistic for where you are right now? Drop it in the comments, we would love to know. And since you have stuck with us this long, here's your bonus idea. Sometimes the best strategy is coming up with something so original, and admittedly a little bit crazy, that it just might work. There are some genuinely wild examples out there. People who made millions selling something as simple as a rock marketed as a pet, or turning individual pixels on a website into a paid advertising product, or even building a business selling sunglasses made specifically for dogs. The world has plenty of room for creative, unconventional ideas, and sometimes those are exactly the ones that take off. Summary: this video breaks down 15 real proven paths that everyday people have used to reach their first $1 million. It starts with becoming elite in a high-paying profession and building wealth through persistent book publishing, before moving into licensing an invention, launching a dropshipping business, or simply starting and steadily growing a small business over time. It covers the power of aggressive saving combined with index fund investing, building an influencer brand, buying into a proven franchise, and creating a subscription-based business model. It also explores working directly for someone already wealthy, going viral on YouTube, building a high-traffic blog, developing a popular app, growing a following through live streaming, and the timeless strategy of buying low and reselling high. The video wraps up with a reminder that sometimes the most unconventional creative ideas end up being the ones that actually pay off the biggest. That wraps up today's video. If any part of this sparked an idea for you, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and let us know in the comments which path you are already working toward. Thanks so much for spending this time with us. We will see you in the next one.